Albert Einstein once observed that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another.
Hi, and welcome to the Satori Show with your host, Amy Satori, your intuitive spiritual counselor. Amy's work centers around the energy that is in everything and everywhere. Her rare ability is to identify the energy from any source, and with the help of her guides on the other side, provides an incredibly accurate assessment of what's really going on, albeit with people living or past, pets, the human body, and her specialty, twin flame relationships. And now we're proud to announce that the show is live at the Lighthouse Bookstore every Sunday night from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can talk to Amy and see for yourself just how special her abilities really are. Just call 256-291-1191. So now sit back and join me, Kevin McDonald, as we present this episode of The Satori Show. And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and yes, you have again found The Satori Show with your host, Amy Satori, who is right here from Boulder, Colorado. Amy, hello, and welcome to Sunday night.
Oh, hello, and welcome back.
Absolutely. I wanted
Sunday night.
Exactly. Every Sunday night we do this at the Lighthouse Bookstore in Boulder, Colorado. That's where Amy is. I'm somewhere else in Kent, Washington, and so through the magic of technology, we're able to put this together. And something new happened this week, and I wanted to touch on real briefly. And this is how this show goes. This is how our lives are interconnected and how everything moves for us. Let me explain. I was trying to do something with technology, which I'm a little, shall we say, not very good at. And so I'm inept. That's a good word. I like that, inept. And so I text Amy and said, Amy, we really need an IT guy. And would you like to pick up the story from there, my friend?
Yeah. I think it was just a little while later. I think it was just a matter of an hour or two. This guy came in for a reading, and we hit it off, and he started talking about how he'd heard the show and thought it was really great and offered to support in any way, and he said that he was an IT guy. I said, what? Are you kidding me? Actually, Kevin just said that we need an IT guy. So, yes, we'd be happy to have you. So now he's on board and part of our Satori Show family.
Yes, indeed. And I would like to mention that Travis, our producer and normal call screener, has hung the gone fishing sign out because he's quite literally gone fishing. So he's not available tonight. But that opens the door for us to introduce our newest friend. His name is Matthew, and I hope that's all right that I use your name, Matthew, but you're on the website, which, by the way, we now can announce, and Amy, it looks fabulous, we can announce the SatoriShow.com is now active and live. You can go to that. You can look at what we look like. You can get our bios. There's a bunch of stuff there for you to go look at. And it's going to be evolving over time to something great. So, Amy, thank you for putting that together. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
And so with that, I would like to introduce our newest member of the Satori Show team, and that would be Matt. Matt, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, good afternoon. It's good to be here with you both.
Thank you.
Indeed. Now, I wanted to ask you, and I'll just let you go, because you got into all of this, and be careful what you wish for kind of thing, but you got into all of this because you went to talk to Amy about a particular subject and had a session with her. Describe kind of how that went and your impressions of Amy in her natural habitat in doing what she does.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad to have met Amy. Unfortunately, the circumstances of our meeting are challenging on my part, going through a major life transition. And I went to see Amy for a reading, and I don't think I've ever gotten a reading before, but I immediately felt a sense of ease and safety being there at the Lighthouse bookstore with Amy, and I don't know, just basically kind of opened up the the chapter in my life that I have a lot of questions about. I was in a 4-year relationship and engaged, and that ended, and it's been a massive upheaval to the point where I've never experienced this in my life, but there's just nothing to hold on to. It seems like the whole idea of what I had going on in life is no longer on the horizon. So it's kind of a tender time of surrender and soul searching and coming back to myself. And I just really appreciated connecting with Amy, because I felt like I got a lot of support and helpful insight with that.
So let me ask you, when you sat down with her and she started talking to you, and I know that it was a very emotional moment for you, and she made you feel very comfortable, do you now feel like that meeting with her was kind of serendipity, and it was by design that you walked into the Lighthouse at that particular moment to get some guiding advice from her?
Yeah, if I reflect on it, so unfortunately, I think a lot of us in this culture have maybe an overdeveloped sense of skepticism. I do, and at the same time, I find it gets me into trouble. And it's interesting because, like I said, this has been a time where the rug has essentially been pulled out from under my feet in terms of what I thought my life was going to look like. And it's like, well, so what next? What now? So a secret about me is I've always had a dream of working on radio. I used to a little bit in college. I actually don't think I knew that Amy had a podcast when I first met her. The timeline's a little difficult to say, but yeah, as like an avid believer in the magic of radio, piping all around the world and into people's ears, I've had a lot of great experiences with it in my life, and I had this dream to be able to be part of a show that was meaningful to people, and so in that sense, serendipitous. And then also in some of the personal issues that I've been working on, I've felt nothing but truth, even sometimes when it's been a bitter medicine and support. So yeah, the short answer is yes.
and Amy, your thoughts about Matthew and what you were able to provide him. I know it was a very tough moment for him, and I also wanted to ask you, because it seems like everybody comes to you when they are having a tough moment. How do you deal with that? And talk a little bit about Matthew.
Matt, thank you so much. The thing that stood out about him was he's just all heart. He was I don't know how to describe it when he sat before me. He's just one of the most sincere, authentic people I've ever met in my life. And he just really he held nothing back. He just absolutely held nothing back. He was completely broken, and he just completely handed his heart over to me, and I just treated it very, very respectfully and gently, and helped kind of nurse him back. I hope. And yeah, some of that was a little bit of hard medicine, I'm sure, to hear. At the same time, I try to juggle soft and gentle with straight and honest, little by little. And I hope that my recipe or my blend was effective for him, and that it's really, I hope that some tools I gave him have been helpful. And the time or two he's reported back to me, he's shown tremendous progress every time, and just comes back with more and more bravery, courage, and strength and vigor for life. And he's like, it's like he was crumbled down to the ground, completely obliterated to ashes, and he's now like the phoenix rising from the ashes and gaining in power and gaining in strength and gaining in glory. He's just he's doing an amazing job, and I'm really proud of him. And I think that's it's a lot to overcome. So yeah, that's how he impresses me. And in terms of like how do I normally deal with people who are distraught, which is almost everybody, is I just treat them with love, and I do my best to stay completely out of it in terms of being completely unbiased, which sometimes can be really difficult. But I just really focus on what they're saying and what my guides are telling me or what I'm feeling prompted to talk about with them. And I kind of hold to the truth and hold the space of that truth in it for the person. It's almost like I'm offering them up a pill and you can swallow or not. And I there's a moment in there where I hold it out and I see, are they going to take it or not? So in his case, he took it. And that takes a lot of courage. And so it can be a really difficult thing for, some people come to me and hear incredible things, and other people, they got to hear some hard things. But the hard things lead to much, much better things. That's what they don't realize at that moment when they're hearing the bad news, is that the bad news really isn't actually bad news. They just think it is. It's an illusion. So if I can very gently kind of help them through that process, real gently, holding their hand through that, then I can bring them through to the other side of heaven, So I like to see people through those stages and see their progress and see them gain in their strength and their integrity and in their happiness.
And that is just what you do. And I have a story about that I want to relay in just a moment. But as I always need to do, I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page here. And Matt is acting as our call screener today. So if you want to give us a call any Sunday from 5:30 Pacific or 6:30 Mountain to about 8:30 Mountain, you can do that by calling 256-291-1191. And the first person that you'll hear will be either Travis or Matt, depending on who's doing that for the day. And they will talk to you about what you want to do. Do you want to be on the air? Do you want to just listen? And we'll honor your request, whatever it is. You can also go to listen to a lot of our past shows at the satorishow.podbean.com and get caught up on what it is exactly we do and what it is exactly Amy does. And you can also now go to the satorishow.com and you can look in all the stuff that we have there. So having said all that, I wanted to ask Amy, because Amy, I was talking to her earlier today, which we always talk, and she mentioned that she had an incredible Saturday at the Lighthouse. It was busy. There were people that were coming in, but one of the things that she mentioned to me was that a lot of the people were just coming in and sitting down, and Amy would say, "How may I help you today?" And they'd say, "I don't know. I just felt called to come here. What do you got?" So how do you deal with that?
I think it was everyone. There were so many, and one after the other. It was really... It was kind of cute, actually, because they'd come and sit, and they would be looking around like, I don't know why I'm here. Kind of like, when people in the movies, when they die and go to heaven, they're like just kind of looking around like that, like, why am I here? What's going on? They would look a little lost, and then I'd offer to help them, and they would say, well, they would totally shrug and say, I don't know. I don't know why I'm here. I just felt I needed it to come see you. So that's when you know that, and there were quite a few on Saturday, around 12, I think it was, and so it's kind of neat to be used in that way, that the universe is like bringing these people in, even people who normally wouldn't do it or have never done it before, and just see them being guided. So in that case, I just start looking in their field. I guess I look for images and things that I'm shown from the other side, and I'll say, I laugh a lot because some of the things that I get are pretty strange to the normal person. I'll look at them and I'll say, "Does a basketball mean anything to you?" And they'll be like, "No," and I'm like, "Oh, come on, you guys, help me out here. Why am I seeing basketball?" And then I'll start talking about what basketball represents for me, and I'll start talking about it, and then they'll light up and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, yes, that's totally what I'm going through right now." So it's a shot in the dark, but you learn to kind of listen to to what you're seeing and hearing, and you just kind of go into this place where you're just receiving all of this information, and you're just relaying it to the person and hoping you're doing your best to translate, but you have to work with the other person as well, because it may mean something different to you than it does to them. And so it's a very interesting process. It'd be really interesting to be a fly on the wall while I'm doing these readings.
Well, one of these days we are going to put a camera in your face and just follow you around for a day, because the synchronicities that you get and all the people that you talk to, it must be just amazing to be you. As a matter of fact, we have one of those people on the line with us, and I'd like to bring her on now and for her to talk to you. Hello, caller. You're on the air with Amy Satori.
Hi, it's Brenda. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Brenda. Yay.
Hi. I'm excited to be on your show.
Well, I'm so happy. This has been a long time coming that we've been talking about this.
It has. And I'm one of those people that just kind of stumbled onto you on a trip to Boulder. And even though I used to live there, I kind of walked past the Lighthouse bookstore a bazillion times. And on one trip out there, I just happened to make my way down there, and there you were. So it's been life-changing.
Oh, that's awesome. What was your first impression?
Oh, my gosh. It made me tingle to think about some of the things that you were just spot on, and just really hit home with things that were going on and gave me such guidance that I've really changed a lot, even medically, with the way I feel. A lot of things we carry, which you've kind of taught me, and they manifest in physical sensations or illness. And once you can tap into the root cause of it, wow, that's empowering and it's powerful.
Yeah, we did that with your hand when you were here last, right? A couple weeks ago?
Yes, my right hand was really hurting me. And it just came up, while we were talking about something else. And I said, gosh, my right hand. And I had this lump on my finger, in between the fingers, like at the web. I said, I've got this lump, and it's waking me at night, and I can't make a full fist, and it's so weird. I didn't really hurt my hand, and I had trouble carrying my bag and doing things with my right hand. And you really, I think it was by 2 days later, my hand hasn't hurt since.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I remember even right when I started to work on you and do some energy healing on your hand, you were already able to move it, and the pain was going away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that night was the first night probably in about 2 weeks that I was waking up in the middle of the night feeling like my hand was really swollen, and yet it didn't appear swollen, but it felt really full.
Mm-hmm.
like I must have eaten an entire bag of potato chips or something and had all this retained fluid or whatever. But it was really sore. And I could feel it tingling while you were working on it. And that was the first evening that I didn't wake up thinking, oh, my hand hurts, or it wasn't in one of my dreams.
Oh, that's great. I'm
yeah.
so glad to hear it. Yay.
Yeah, it's so much better. And you could actually work on it and kind of pull out what was causing the problem. That was wonderful. You actually said that it was like it was a bug bite, like a spider bite. Mm-hmm. And oddly enough, as follow-up to that, when I got home, we found out that under the desk where I work, we found a little spider web, a nest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that prompted moving a bunch of furniture, and so there was actually a small nest of spiders. And I'm East Coast, so, it's been humid, and those little buggers like to hide where it's dark.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So, phenomenal.
And so that our listeners know, you're one of my regular clients, and you live on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And so we do most of our readings, except for when you come out to see me in person. But we do most of our readings over the phone. And what's that like? Just so people can get a taste of that.
For me, it's as real and as powerful as sitting with you at the bookstore. I was fortunate enough to meet you in person for the first time, and then all my readings after that, except for this very last one, were over the phone. And I felt as connected, that you were as connected to me and I was as connected to you as if we were sitting in the same room. And that's really, really important, I think.
So what would you say is a major thing that we've been working on together? And I know what this is, but I'll let you explain to everyone what's one of the major things that you and I have been working on over time.
Oh, boundaries, setting boundaries.
Yes.
I have parents.
Maybe you can. Yeah, I was going to say maybe you can give everybody an idea of what you've been dealing with, and maybe when you first came to me, how you were, and then we can talk about what's been happening.
Yeah. My first question to you was, am I okay? And I have this squeezing in my throat and tightness in my neck, and I feel like there's really something wrong. And it was scary because it's an odd feeling. I'd been to several doctors who said, "Oh, you're fine. It might be TMJ," and I had a whole lot of stress from family members, and I never put the two together. That basically what was happening in my neck and my throat and my jaw was what I was holding and what I wasn't saying and what I wasn't controlling. And once you deal with that, once you kind of shed that light for me, oh my gosh, what a difference. What a difference. First, you could have all that money back from all the tests and scans and doctor's visits, but and just some docs looking at you like, oh my gosh, here's this crazy girl again. But they were real symptoms and they were scary. You suddenly have this squeezing in your throat, like, oh my gosh, something's really wrong. And while talking with you, it kind of just kept flowing, oh, this is happening. And I have a very ill father and a mother who also has problems but is very controlling. And so I try my best to do everything to keep everything under control for them. And I'm learning that that's not possible. They have to control that and fix it. And setting boundaries, meaning I'm working a full-time job and I'm caring for both of them. And at that point, I was also helping with a brother who has since passed, and you helped me with that.
How did I help you with that?
Oh, my gosh. The peace of that he's okay and that he's happy now. He's not in pain. He's not suffering. When you lose a person who went from very healthy to not healthy, all of a sudden, all his symptoms were just a headache. And it turned out he had a glioblastoma, a brain tumor. And to watch that process and to feel you really couldn't speak about it to the ill parents because you would further upset, elderly parents dealing with the potential loss of their son. That was a lot, and you really helped me to see that he was okay, and I was able to share things with my parents that you would tell me. And so I have this feeling of peace around it now.
Oh, good.
Which I didn't have before. I had anger and frustration and unsure why this had happened and how could this have happened to somebody, quite young.
So what are some of these controlling things that your parents were doing that you kind of put an end to?
Well, the big thing is I run all week long for them, and I was running on the weekend as well, and I really wanted my weekends. I really just wanted to be able to relax on Saturday and Sunday and kind of be able to watch a movie or just have me time. And they weren't allowing that to happen because if I were to tell my mother, I'm going to be watching a movie now, so I'll talk to you later, I'll talk to you tomorrow, inevitably 20 minutes, 30 minutes into my movie, she would call. And although she has a tendency to get confused, she knew that I was watching the movie because she'd start off the call, "Oh, I guess you started your movie." And I'd say, "I did, Mom. Did you need something? Is everything okay?" "Yeah, I just had a note here I wanted to ask you about." And it was something that, could have waited. Like, don't forget when you take me grocery shopping, I want to put, potato chips on the grocery list or something that was not urgent. And it frustrated me so that then my evening was ruined because I was mad at her and I didn't want to tell her how angry I was because I had this fear that if I start telling her how angry I was, then, I make the whole thing worse. And I'm just supposed to be quiet and answer the phone and be nice to her. And so all my weekends were just, she wasn't respecting that. She wasn't allowing me to have any downtime. If I did say I was going out to the store or meeting a friend for lunch, I'd get statements like, "Oh, I'd like to go out to lunch." And it would make me feel guilty. Even though I had taken her out to brunch or lunch or dinner several times during the week, it was never, ever enough. Ever enough. And
sounds like my mom.
Yeah, see? See? And it's,
But she's passed away now, so. But yeah, she was like that.
Yeah, you just can't seem to have somebody be really happy with the fact that you did all these things all week long, and I'm just asking for 2 days. And I had an answering machine that when somebody would be leaving a message, you couldn't hear what the message was. You kind of had to wait till the message was done and then play it. It was an older machine. So I went out to the store and I bought a different answering machine that you can actually hear what they're saying while they leave a message. And I've told my mother, this is since seeing you, that I'm going to be watching my movie and I'm not going to be answering the phone, so you will get my voicemail. And for the first week or two, she still called. She still called, even though she knew. And she'd make comments like, "Oh, I have your answering machine. I hope everything's okay. Well, I'll just sit here and basically worry until you call me back." And so it was a really hard process for me, because then I'm thinking, oh, if I don't call her back immediately, she's going to be worried, and I'm being selfish and just call her back. But I knew I'd never get past. You know, you and I spoke that you're never going to get past the point where she knows that if it's an emergency, you will be there on those days. But it's not, you know. And I told her, I said, you know, I can hear what the message is. And it took about 2 weeks, and she stopped. If I say I'm going to be watching a movie, she doesn't call now.
Yay!
Yeah, and you know, but the thing is, when you first start making these changes, it doesn't feel good initially. You know, you feel guilty, you feel a little, initially I thought, oh, you know, Mom didn't call for all this time. I hope she's okay. I almost had to train myself. Like,
right?
Yeah, it really, and then I felt like a bad daughter, thinking, oh my gosh, here I'm telling my 83-year-old mother that you can't call because I want to watch a movie. How horrible. But in the scheme of things, it was an hour-and-a-half movie that I had just asked for. And I've also set boundaries with her. She would chase me to the grocery store. I'd take her out. I'd make sure her list was complete. I went over everything with her, and the next day she would call, you know, maybe you could pick me up, and I would like, let's just say, cornflakes. And I'll say, but Mom, we got 2 other kinds of cereal. I'm sure you're fine till the next time we go to the store, which is at the end of the week. And it was basically because she just wanted to get out of the apartment. So I bought her, after talking to you, I bought her a nice little pad that sticks on the fridge, and she can write her whole grocery list down, and then whenever she thinks of anything, she writes it down again, so that if it's urgent, we will get it, if it's, you know, some medication or something. But
nice.
It's taken
and
a lot of work.
How does it feel to be loving yourself as much as you love them?
Well, you know what? I feel better physically as well as emotionally. I mean, I was getting really fatigued. That tightness in my neck, my jaw, my throat, for the most part, is gone, unless they trigger me with something. And I had that every day. So it feels so much better, like I'm getting myself back. And once you get that back in small pieces, all of a sudden you just find this new lease on life. Because I stopped really taking care of myself. I wasn't eating well then. I wasn't drinking the water I was supposed to drink, and I wasn't exercising, and so I had gained weight. And really, it can spiral you into a not good place. So I'm slowly getting myself back to the point where I was able to come to Boulder a couple weeks ago and kind of hang out for the weekend, and I had the best time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Didn't you also have something come up to where you were able to establish boundaries with a friend as well?
Oh my gosh, yes. And that was a tough one because this friend is very negative, doesn't have a lot of other friends because of the way she kind of acts to people. I always joke to myself, like, oh, no, she has no warm fuzzies. She just kind of doesn't have a filter. I don't know if you've met people who just kind of say it as it is. And
I can be that way sometimes.
Yeah, but you're not hurting. This person can be hurting and cutting. And, you could be in a grocery store and the poor checkout person will say, "Oh, I hope you found everything on your shopping trip. Is there anything else that you needed?" And my friend will say, "If there was anything else, would I be standing here in this line?" It's and
so what did
you cringe. What's that?
I always get behind that person, and it's just like it's so infuriating to watch somebody, because this poor chicker is just trying to do her job and be pleasant, and then to get slapped around by somebody just because they can is it's so frustrating.
It's so true, and so that has been eating at me for several years, because you never know. You're always on pins and needles when you're out. And you never know what's going to come out. And that's very stressful. Well, this last time I was there, she did that to me, and it was actually in Art Mart, right there on Pearl Street.
Okay.
And we were talking about something, and it was really a light conversation. And I made a comment, "Oh, isn't that great?" Well, in her mind, I had offended something about her that wasn't even the topic. And she went into this other person and said, "So leave me alone." And people started looking like, "Ooh, what just happened?" Normally, I would have just kind of cowered and walked away and let her be.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do that this time. And I just said, "You know what? I've had an awful lot in life lately. Death of a brother, both parents are very ill now, and I came here for this break. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the rest of the day," and it was Memorial Day, so there was the Boulder Creek Festival. So I'm going to leave now, and I'm going to go enjoy the rest of the festival, and I'll see you at home later. If for some reason you're not in a better mood at that point, I'm going to find a hotel."
Mm.
And that was, I've never done that. I said it very nicely.
That's incredible. Yeah, you don't have to be mean about it.
No, I wasn't mean. I just said, "Look, this is what I need to do." It was tough to get me here anyway, because I had to leave both parents, 1,800 miles away. And my brother had only been passed about a month at that point, so emotions were kind of raw, and I really just wanted a break. I just really wanted to laugh and have fun, and I wasn't able to deal with that drama. And because I had been working with you, I kind of learned that I didn't need to. I could do it kindly and respectfully, and kind of do what I needed to do for the rest of that day, and I had a blast. I met people. I danced at the band stage there. There's a group called Face there in Boulder, and I danced with people at Face, and I just really got the light that I had wanted out of that trip. And when I got back home, she was a different person and was very friendly and kind, and the rest of the time was uneventful. But I think it was awakening for her as well.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And now she has that permission to do that for herself. That's how we inspire each other.
Yeah, it was a new me, and the old me would have probably carried that around for the entire rest of that weekend. My throat probably would have started squeezing, and my jaw would have gotten tight. I probably wouldn't have felt well in my stomach, and I would not have enjoyed myself. And in this case, I just said, this is what I'm going to do, and I'll see you later. I'll meet you for dinner. But for the next couple hours, I just need to kind of be by myself.
That is awesome. Good job.
it's scary though, you know. It's when you start changing a behavior that you've done for so long, and seeing you was kind of validation that this is really okay. You know, it's okay to take care of yourself. We forget that. So that was
well, you know, it
amazing.
is the number one cause of cancer is living your life for everyone else and not for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just don't want that in my life, you know. I just I just need to get all that happiness back.
Yay, and it's coming back.
You're
opening the floodgates.
Yeah. So
and I know that your partner is also benefiting.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
You're coming to see me again?
Yes, in July, and I'm actually bringing my brother's wife, who's never been to Boulder, and she feels really connected. Like coming there will connect her to my brother because he so loved Colorado.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be so healing.
Yeah, so it'll be the 3-month anniversary of his passing, and so I said, how about we go? And one of the things my brother loved was the dark chocolate nonpareils from Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory.
Oh, yeah. I love that place.
Oh, I know. And I always used to bring him every time I came to Boulder, or when I lived there. I always brought him his nonpareils. And do you know, before he passed, I called Rocky Mountain. They overnighted me some nonpareils, and he actually got to eat 2 of them.
Oh, my gosh.
It was the next day he ended up on hospice. So he got his nonpareils. So
good for him.
Yeah.
He's
so
like,
I'm sure.
He's like, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure he's sitting there when I ate his nonpareils on my last trip when I just saw you. I'm sure he was thinking about that.
Oh, he was right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's invite him into the conversation a little bit, Amy.
Yes, he's here already.
Yeah.
He's doing a little dance. He's like really proud of you and the headway you've made.
Oh.
He said she's a new woman. He says you stuck her in the washing machine and here she is, brand spanking new.
Yeah. Oh. Well, you know, he was a good brother, and he was a really nice guy. So,
he said, by the way, that he's the one behind you guys coming here.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh.
He wants her to get out in the fresh mountain air.
See, I
and to kind of just see things, have a different scene, have a different, experience out here. He feels like it's going to give her like kind of a reset that she needs, and she needs to get up in the mountains and get around water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, while she's here.
Yeah. Well, we fully plan that this is a quick, kind of long weekend, and then maybe in the fall when it's a little bit cooler, to be able to do more, because neither of us are great with heat. So I don't know how much we'll get done in July in the heat, but without you visiting me at the hospital. But
I'd be happy to hang out with you guys too.
Oh,
we could go do some of this together. Yeah, I really need to get out and enjoy this more.
Yeah.
So do it.
Yeah. Well, she wants to see you because you talked to her too while my brother was ill, and so we're already going to book with you.
Great.
So I'll get with you closer to the time to make sure we can get together.
All right. I'll really look forward to that. That's going to be great.
Yeah. So
thank you so much for sharing all this, because I know this has been an uphill battle for you, and you've just done such an incredible job, and I love that you have the taste of freedom in your mouth. Once you've had that, you're not going back.
No, that's so true. That's so true. Now, every once in a while you slip a little bit, but I think it's give and take. When you're dealing with elderly parents, you have to kind of,
Oh, yeah.
But I'm learning more and I'm respecting myself more, which I had forgotten how to do.
Well, and I'll tell you, I had this girl that came in, and she used to come to me on a regular basis, and she would want to know how things are going with her twin flame. And for a while, it seemed fairly normal. And then it started turning into, really? Are you sure? Really? Are you sure? Are you sure, though? Really? Are you sure? And I was like, all right, you're not listening to me. And, why are you paying me to tell you these things if you're not even sure that, So she was doing that, and then she would go away, and I would tell her what to do, and then she would come back, and she would not have done it. And so I eventually set a boundary with her, and actually it was quite the boundary, because I said, do not come back to me. I don't want to see you anymore, because you are not working on yourself. You're not hearing me. And I don't want you paying to come see me if you're not getting anything out of it. Right. And it was a bit hard for her to swallow. And she, pretty much threw a fit. She made quite the scene and was very mad. She was upset with management. It went clear to the owner. Oh my gosh, she's rejected someone. She refuses to see someone. And it was this big deal. And then, I got backup from the management, and they said, if you don't, whatever you decide, we're going to leave it up to you. So they were wonderful about it. And some months have passed, and she would come in, and I would be pleasant to her. And this is key too. I would be pleasant to her. And I never held it against her. I was never upset with her, and just treated her with respect. And one day she this weekend, actually, I think it was Saturday, she got on my clipboard and signed herself up under somebody else's name.
Oh no.
And you're right. So I went to call, I come out like a doctor's office, and I call out the next person's name, Jill, Brenda. And so she walks up to the other name, and she looked at me with such pleading eyes, and she's like, please, just 10 minutes. And I had to make a judgment call. I really drew that line with her, but I felt her sincerity. There was something about her that felt like it had shifted, so I allowed her back. And she was so transformed. It was so incredible, because she said, she goes, I just want to thank you, because she said, I feel like a new person. She says, I've been doing all of this work on myself. I love myself. I treat myself so much better. She goes, in fact, she says, I distanced myself from my twin flame, and I decided I was going to live my own life and go my own way and part ways with him. And then she said, and I've made so much headway, and I'm so happy. And I was so proud of her, and I could tell she didn't even look the same. People physically look different. Yeah. It's amazing to see the transformation. So she, then she proceeded to, then she asked questions about him, and, well, where do you feel we're at? Has that separation done us good? Questions like that. And it did definitely bring them closer. And it was a really, really good thing for both of them that they went through that period. And it was just so cool how the universe worked all of that out. Even my rejecting her ended up being for her benefit, and ended up being the catalyst that she needed to go out and do something radical and something different. Sometimes your world needs to be shaken up. Mm-hmm. To make you see things clearly, to get you to have these realizations and epiphanies that you need to have. And and she just really apologized and started to explain some things about what she had realized in that time. And it was just really beautiful, and I was really glad also that I had the discernment to give her another chance.
Yeah.
That I wasn't so rigid that I wasn't going to ever see her again. It was more like, you make a big change, then we'll talk about it. And it was the motivation she needed.
Yeah.
So as much as, these boundaries are also important to keep in place, also there are moments when you realize that there is something divine happening here. So let them come forward and plead their case. So you do eventually find that balance of what's best for everybody involved, and it's all ultimately, yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, because I'm really struck, Brenda. You are taking care of two elderly parents. You're going to do shopping with them on a weekly basis. You were caring for your brother. You were doing all of these things for other people. No wonder you weren't well. And I'm so glad that you have. By the way, you're a saint. You're just a flippin' saint. Because there are not very many people like you that would do everything that you do, take all of this on your shoulders, and live through it. And you deserve to pat yourself on the back in a big way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing.
Well, I was living in Boulder, and I love it there, and it was easier to take care of them here, so I moved back here. But my plan is to come back to Boulder when they pass, so we'll see, however, and when that is. But, I figure it's also a gift at this point to be able to assist your family when they're ill. But you have to have the boundaries, or you don't do it well. And I didn't set the boundaries. So I was doing the task, but I wasn't doing it well for me and ended up not feeling well. So, but now I'm learning, and I feel the difference. I really feel the difference. So I want to thank Amy for that. So
you're welcome.
Well, and
thank you.
And that is what Amy does. And it's just startling, Amy, because everybody that I talk to that you've interacted with, you have had a significant impact in their life for the better. And it's just, it could be, well, it could be, I wanted to clarify that.
You
because it could have been
people everywhere you go.
Everywhere you go.
Exactly. And this friend that you were talking about, that's what she was, that was mean to the checker. By the way, if you're mean to a checker, if you're mean to a waitress, you need to rethink who you really are, because you're not acting who you really are, and you're being a bully. So stop it, please.
Yep, I agree. And I was turning my back or rolling eyes with whoever she was doing it with, and I just decided I didn't want to do that anymore.
Yay!
Yeah, so that's tough. That's tough. It's hard to change other people, and you learn you really don't. What you change is how you react, how you feel, and what you do. And hopefully, in the end, that the other person's behavior changes for the better when they realize.
Well, if nothing else,
celebrate.
Yeah.
If nothing else, you made her think about what she was saying and why did you not put up with it. Mm-hmm. And then she figured out, well, maybe I better not do that anymore, or I'm going to lose like the only friend I've got.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it's going to take some work on that end, but we'll see how it goes when I'm there in July. We'll see.
Yeah, you're gonna do great.
Yeah. But in all that not feeling well, it made me afraid to kind of leave home and afraid to travel and afraid to, do things that I really loved. And so I got that back when I came in May. And so, I want to keep that. I want to keep the joy of travel.
Is there anything that you're doing on a regular basis to be loving to yourself that you could share with everyone?
I'm looking at a bunch of the things that you said. I also do Qigong. I do a different one. I found a DVD that I really like, and I do that, the breathing from it every day. I have myself set up to take breaks during the day to do some meditation and walks. I live on a third-floor condo without an elevator, so I force myself, it's 28 steps. So as breaks during the day, I go out there and I pounce up and down the steps. So, and now I make it a little fun. But I had gotten to the point where I felt so not well that was a chore. And now it doesn't become a chore till about, step 20. But so it's changing,
Only 8 to go.
Only 8 to go. But just taking better care. I bought more foods. We have a very small Whole Foods here. So I go and I buy more organic type foods, and I'm switching some of the foods that I'm eating in small steps and trying to get away from the processed and the sugar and things that were adding to my tiredness. So it's changed other pieces of my life. And with that will come more energy and lose some of the weight that I gained in not taking care of myself. So,
Brenda, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. And what you're bringing to this show, just so you know, is a much bigger issue, because there are lots and lots of people who will listen to this podcast who are in the same exact boat and position that you're in, with older parents, with friends that are domineering, with all of that stuff. And what I'd like to do now, what we're going to start doing on a regular basis, virtually every podcast, is Amy has a gift. It's called light language. And Amy, I would be really happy if you could bless everyone who is going through what Brenda has gone through with a light language blessing. Can you do that?
Oh, I'd be happy to. Yes. Just give me a moment. Brenda's heard me speak light language before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ake e ma la tena, aisha se tenda ke pola, ale hina anta kaisa. Hashatinta zala wata anai keri tans. Hale husho somo okutin salabora na titeza. Hale shisina ai kapuna tatai shansa de kipas. Hale hino oka bona setenta. Hale shason kanapina laidan areza. Hale shason na tikipinsa and kela.
And I thank you very much for that. And everybody that's listening, if you had a physical response to what Amy just said, that's not uncommon. That's very common. And it does impact you in your own particular way. Am I correct in that, Amy?
Yes. The energy is alive, and it's custom when you hear it. So everyone who heard that is going to experience it in a different way. But it basically is a language, an energetic language that bypasses your ego and goes straight to your heart and kind of races around to wherever in you needs it the most at that moment. But the intention of this was for boundaries, so you may see more of an ability to establish boundaries now that you've heard that. So keep an eye out.
Very good. And if there's anything else, Amy, that you'd like to add before we close this podcast, by the way, I'd like to thank Matthew for being on the show. I'd like to thank Brenda for being on the show. Your story was magnificent, and I thank you for it. Amy, any last words before we close?
Yeah, in both cases that we've talked about today, it's all about doing what's best for you, following your heart, listening to your intuition, learning to get to the heart of the matter where the healing is. When you get to the heart of the matter, then you're able to go out from there and respect yourself and others. And when you love yourself, you're able to unconditionally love others as well. But it's like you have to you have to put the mask on yourself when the plane's going down before you give the mask to the child. So it's so important that you take care of yourself first and foremost so that you have the strength to take care of others and to inspire and uplift those around you. And both of you are very much inspiring those around you who are seeing your transformation right now. And you guys are doing really well, and that's commendable. That's awesome. So anybody out there who's struggling with these issues, because I know that we are having a lot of breakups right now for twin flames, and I would consider Matt a divine masculine for sure. Don't. I know this sounds kind of cold, but it's not really cold. It's kind of the way things are. Once you see to the other side of things, is that it's something to be celebrated. Endings are beginnings. They're a beautiful thing. This person was there to help you learn something and to help you get into a better life, and now they can get into a better life as well. And so as painful as it can be to go through, just monitor your thoughts. And in terms of the boundaries, it's when you establish boundaries with people too, they learn to respect your time, and they learn to, instead of you coming over because you always do, it's like when you come over, it's like, oh, wow, she really wanted to be here. She really cares. So it turns into a quality rather than quantity type of an issue. So first and foremost, love yourself. And in order to love yourself, you really do have to monitor your thoughts, and you really have to put yourself make yourself a priority. So good job, guys.
And sometimes change, and radical change, brings something that we know as fear. But Amy, what is fear?
I know one thing: fear isn't real. You got this.
And remember, go to amysatori.com and book a reading with her. Trust me, no matter where you are, you will benefit, and it is a life-changing experience. And with that, please, forever trust in who you really are, and nothing else matters. We'll see you next time on The Satori Show. You've been listening to The Satori Show. Please visit Amy's website, www.amysatori.com, to find out more about this incredible talent. The views expressed during this podcast are those of the host, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of management or the owners of this podcast. What you need to know is that Amy is a wonderful teacher, guide, and communicator for the unseen world. What she does not pretend to be is a doctor, fortune teller, seer of world events, or predictor of what is to come. What Amy presents is real, based on her understanding of the world and communication with that unseen world. As always, you're free to decide for yourself as to what to believe. Regardless, we love and accept you completely just as you are. And thanks again for listening to The Satori Show.